Thank you.
No, hombre, dude.
Thank you.
No, la otra, la que está abajo.
Yes, sir.
Está durmiendo el gato.
Está despegando. Pasó.
Thank you for...
Oh, for the agenda or what?
No sé.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Yes, I do. Morning.
Waiting for your
9 o'clock, so we get started with the drainage meeting. We'll have a roll call. We do have a quorum. Commissioner Palacio, Precinct 4. H.E. Cuellar, Precinct 1. And myself. Do we have anybody on the open forum?
Yes, sir, we do have one sign, Ms. Townsend.
Number 5B on your agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's 5A.
5A.
At 5A, and it's very open-ended. I really don't like something, approval of work authorization number 13. What the heck is that? And we need to know what it is, where the money is coming from, how much it's going to cost, much more information.
After
I don't like open-ended.
Godfrey, you will address it when we get to that.
Yes, sir, and I apologize. Traditionally, they put everything in there, but I will read what the item is all about.
Okay. Anybody else on the public forum?
No, sir, that's all we have that's signed up.
Item 3, approval of the consent agenda.
I would like to wait for a few minutes on that while Ms. Laura Briones gets here. She's usually the one that presents the consent agenda. She's en route already over here, Commissioner.
Okay. Item 4,
Item 4, authority to provide non-economic assistance to Hidalgo County Irrigation District Number 1 for location of right-of-way for proposed raw water line within Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1 right-of-way. We've had several discussions or meetings with Irrigation District Number 1 and with the Precinct 4 and Precinct Number 1 representatives. And basically what this item is for, and also concurring with legal counsel, Irrigation District Number 1 is trying to propose some alignments of raw water lines to be able to assist, provide water, supplement the water to Engelman Irrigation District and also to the city of Edcouch, Elsa. What they're looking for is trying to place that raw water line within right-of-way or easements that the drainage district has. In discussing with the irrigation district and with commissioners and legal counsel, a lot of the parcels that the drainage district owns are there only by easements. We do not own the properties fee simple. And such, we only have a right to have a drain ditch there. What we allow utility companies to do is perpendicularly cross wherever they're coming across our ditch, may it be a water line, irrigation line, gas line, etc. At this time, the irrigation district is trying to see if we can work with them in delineating the right-of-ways that we do own to try to run these water lines through there. Like everything else, there's a lot of congestion all over the Hidalgo County, and our right-of-ways are pretty well defined. There's nobody else in them. But they need to, whoever wants to be placed in there would have to go to the physical landowners of each one of these parcels and obtain an easement from them to be able to place their raw water line or whatever utility wants to be placed in there. And then the drainage district itself would just go out there and provide a permit for them. At this time, in discussing with legal, I see no objection for the board to consider it. It is no commitment on our part physically. It's just assisting them in identifying what right-of-ways we have, and if they wish to negotiate with the landowners, they could proceed. We do have Mr. Rusty McDaniels, the manager for Irrigation District Number 1 here, if the board wishes to have a discussion with him. Mr. McDaniel?
Basically, I think Godfrey told you the whole story. We have been working with Ingeman to assist them, getting them a little more water. They've always been a little short of water during the summer and other times. And so this is a project that started a year ago or so, trying to figure out, and the end result, as we've studied different routes and things, looks like the most inexpensive and the most direct, and the way we can get the most water to them goes through the drainage ditches of the drainage district. And that's where we're at. It looks like it would assist the interconnection for the future of several cities. We, as an irrigation district, are blessed that we have a little water now. We're not in a bind for push water or anything. And so if this was already done, the city of Elsa and maybe some of the other entities out there that need water wouldn't be looking for push water right now. So I think it's kind of an area-wide thing. I think it will really help the whole area out, farmers and cities. So are there any questions?
Joseph, it impacts on precinct 4 and 1.
Precinct 1. Yeah, I have no problem. I know that Godfrey's been looking into it, and so as long as they coordinate with landowners on that, I know that Godfrey's willing to work with them through this process, so I have no questions and no problems with it.
Yeah, move for approval. Go ahead and continue. Godfrey, you can continue with it.
Second.
All right, those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner, if you wish to go back to the item number 3 at this time?
For the consent agenda, no concerns.
Second.
There's a motion.
Any concerns?
No, sir. I'm sorry.
We have a motion and a second. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item 5.
Item 5, request approval of work authorization number 13 under agreement for professional services Phase 2 of the master drainage system. And I apologize for not having more detail on it. I'll discuss that with my staff on future items. This particular work authorization, it is to Tezi Infrastructure. It's an existing contract the district has with them, and it is for the J09 to get that project going. So basically, we're trying to work with the county. We have a mechanism within the drainage district to be able to fund that directly without having to go have the county, then fund the county to do the project. And basically, it's the same amount that the court had previously approved for $415,325.70, yet it's being funded through the district through our project system.
Okay. Move for approval.
Move approval.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B, requesting approval of final negotiated agreement for professional services for precinct number 2, 2012 bond referendum rural drainage development program, and approval of work authorization number 1 that relates to Northside Village, Hidden Valley Estate Subdivision, Minnesota Meadows, Seminole Valley Subdivision, approved for negotiations by Hidalgo County Drainage System Number 1 Board of Directors on January 15, 2013. This contract is with Gutierrez Engineering for the development in the rural drainage areas in precinct number 2.
Move for
Second.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Godfrey,
Yes, sir.
under the public forum, there were some questions that were raised. Did you answer those?
Yes, sir, I did. And I'll get copies of it to Ms. Townsend on item 13, work authorization 13.
Thank you.
All right, sir.
Did y'all take a vote on item B already, sir?
Yes.
Okay. May I proceed with item C?
All right.
Item C, request approval of final negotiated agreement for professional services for the Alamo Expressway drain.
Excuse me, Valde, did we vote on item B?
Not the last vote. We
All right.
had a motion.
We had a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thanks, sir. Item C, requesting approval of final negotiated agreement for professional services for Alamo Expressway drain, South Floodwater Channel, and approval of work authorization number 1 that relates to the Alamo Expressway drain outfall into the IBWC floodway and south floodwater channel outfall into the IBWC floodway, approved for negotiations by Hidalgo County Drainage Number 1 Board of Directors on January 15, 2013. This is a contract with Gutierrez Engineering also for the development of 2 pumping stations that are going into the floodway system in the southern FAR area. This is in precinct 2.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 6, hi, Marty.
Yes.
I don't know if the board can take action or if the county needs to take action first, Marty.
Well, the way it's disclosed in the application, it would be that the Board of Directors may, on the action of the county, then accept the depository agreement. So I think you need to take action under Commissioner's Court before
Why not
we-
take, I mean, we know what we're going to do. We're going to pick the same firm.
We can use it on the motion to, you know, what the county's going to do.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can move for approval?
Yes, I
So we don't have to come back and
Steve, how
open
can
it
we
up.
word that, Steve?
What you could do is just to be safe, you could say that you approve it subject to the county commissioners court approving.
Final action, yes.
Approving the county depository.
Well, that's my
agreement.
motion.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries.
Okay. And I do have one for the court reporter. I just handed one to Mr. Crane for his final review. I mean, everything as far as negotiations have been done. We're just making sure the document has all of its attachments. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do we have any item under,
We have no item on closed session. We will be coming back to the Board of Directors next week with an item on Danamom Engineering to present to the board based on discussions that took place this past Saturday.
okay, Valde?
No, that's what I was. Godfrey, beat me to the punch.
I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you very much, Judge Commissioners.
Thank you. Good on you.
About 9:15, 9:20.
And we got about a 10-minute wait before we start our next meeting. Good morning. We want to welcome you this morning to the regular Hidalgo County Commissioners Court meeting for today, April 30th, 2013. The entire court being present, we have a quorum. Please join us in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Towns?
Let it rain.
Thank you for this day. Thank you for the rain you sent. We needed it so badly, and we're very thankful. Bless this group today as we work together for whatever is good for the county. Bless our families, bless our nation, bless our troops wherever they are, and may we always, always remember to be thankful. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right, at this time, and in keeping with our policy of acknowledging items on the agenda from our elected officials, we have one that involves one of our elected officials, our county sheriff, Mr. Guadalupe Lupe Trevino. So I'm going to go ahead and proceed to item number 6C. It's a resolution honoring Sheriff Guadalupe Lupe Trevino for being a recipient of the 2013 County Best Practices Award that was earned and given to him from the Texas Association of Counties, which is a 254 county organization.
Good morning, Judge. Commissioners, Karina Cardoso with the Public Affairs Division. At this time, I'd like to recognize Sheriff Guadalupe Trevino to come up to the podium. He has with him a group of the 20 deputies who were certified under this program. And as they come forward, I'm going to read a little bit about the significance of this award.
Good morning, Sheriff.
And if you can join us up here at the podium. We also have representatives from Mujeres Unidas who are a critical component of educating and informing the program on how to be most effective in helping to prevent domestic violence. So yes, Judge, as you mentioned, the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office was honored with the 2013 County Best Practices Award by the Texas Association of Counties Leadership Program. Hidalgo County was one of 6 county programs to receive this award and received its honors for the Sheriff's Office Domestic Abuse Intervention Specialist Program. The program, the DACE program, was developed after a domestic disturbance led to the tragic death of its victim. Deputies in the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office decided they wanted to do more to reach out to the victims and perpetrators of domestic abuse. They wanted to find a way to intervene, to reach out to victims, and to prevent perpetrators from reoffending. The program certified these 20 deputies as domestic abuse intervention specialists. And what they do is they make contact with victims and with perpetrators, and they educate and inform the public about domestic violence as a means of prevention. And the results are encouraging. The program has seen a 5.3% decrease of domestic violence incidents in 2012 compared to 2011, and incidents committed by repeat offenders decreased by 68.3%. And we have an award to present the sheriff, but first, if I may read the resolution from Commissioner's Court that's honoring the Sheriff's Office and the program. Resolution honoring the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office for receiving the 2013 Best Practices Award. Whereas the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office, under the leadership of Sheriff Guadalupe Lupe Trevino, employs a community-oriented approach to reduce and prevent crimes, focusing on specialized police strategies that protect Hidalgo County residents. And whereas one of the priorities of the Sheriff's Office has been to reduce and prevent domestic violence, particularly by implementing an effective response strategy to better assist and protect victims of domestic violence. And whereas recognizing that domestic violence is an issue that cannot be addressed solely by law enforcement, the Sheriff's Office collaborates with various agencies to analyze and address the problem of domestic violence. These partnerships help the Sheriff's Office understand the dynamics of violent relationships and focus their prevention outreach efforts. And whereas the Sheriff's Office certified 20 deputies as domestic abuse intervention specialists to be a highly focused and specialized group in domestic violence. Since the commencement of the program, the office has seen a decrease in the overall number of domestic violence incidents and a decrease in the number of repeat offenders. And whereas the Sheriff's Office Domestic Abuse Intervention Specialist Program was one of 6 selected by the Texas Association of Counties to receive a 2013 County Best Practices Award. This is the second time in 3 years that the office has received this distinguished recognition. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Hidalgo County Commissioner's Court hereby recognizes and honors the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office on this notable achievement, and thanks Sheriff Guadalupe Lupe Trevino and his staff for their continued dedication to the safety and security of Hidalgo County residents. Dated this 30th day of April, 2013.
So moved.
Second.
And those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously.
Before the sheriff speaks, I'd like to ask the representatives from Mujeres Unidas to say a few words about the program and its effectiveness. Thank you.
Good morning. Hello, my name is Priscilla Palacios, and I'm the sexual assault
Could you get close to that microphone, please?
Sorry. My name is Priscilla Palacios, and I'm the sexual assault program coordinator for Mujeres Unidas. Behind me, right there, is Sandra Sanchez, and she's a legal advocate. And we'd just like to say thank you to the Sheriff's Department for working with us closely and helping end this this violence in our community, or trying to put an end to this violence in our community. And we thank them for working closely with us and helping us and providing the assistance needed to help our clients out in their time of need and their time of crisis. So thank you, Sheriff Lupe Trevino and the Sheriff's Department.
Thank you, Priscilla. And I wanted to note that we actually just had a proclamation with Mujeres Unidas declaring this month as a Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So this recognition is very timely as well. So Sheriff, I'd like to present you with this 2013 County Best Practices Award. It's conveyed to Hidalgo County Domestic Abuse Intervention Specialist Program for outstanding achievement and effective management of county government facilities, processes, and programs. Issued by the Texas Association of Counties on the 11th day of April, 2013, and signed by the Honorable Connie Hickman. Thank you.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Good morning, Sheriff.
First of all, thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedule to address this issue. Investigating domestic violence is probably one of the most hideous crimes to investigate and probably somewhat one of the most difficult. Usually because a crime scene occurs in your castle, in your place where you're supposed to find peace and tranquility. But the worst part is that the offender is usually a loved one. And that it makes it very difficult to investigate because of a lot of the reluctancy of the victims to come forth and file the complaints and try to break this vicious cycle that keeps occurring and passed on to the children. And I think our program addressed that issue. It's been very successful. But the honor really should go to the men and women that stand behind me right now. They're the ones that carried out the program for a year and a half and were extremely successful in reducing domestic abuse by, I believe, about 5% throughout the county and 68% in the reoffending rate, which is a notable statistic because studies have shown that it is a reoffender at some point the one that kills. And we're very glad to report that last year we did not have not one domestic abuse homicide, while in years past we were having 3 or 4 a year. So we've given a hand to all the men and women that stand behind me that actually made this program a success. Those are my deputies. And we thank you for your time, Judge, Commissioners.
Well, no, we certainly, on behalf of the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court and the residents of this county, Sheriff, we want to thank you and the members of your department for going above and beyond in the performance of your duties on this very important issue to our residents. And we certainly want to congratulate you for this recognition. Out of the 254 counties in this state, our county, Hidalgo County, was singled out because of the work of you and your department. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sheriff?
We can't do that.
Picture.
They went down there?
Judge, Commissioners, and Sheriff, and the public, wanted to just make a note that we have some refreshments outside in celebration of this award. So please join us for some pan dulce and some coffee. Everyone's invited. Thank you. You're very welcome.
We'd also like to announce that there's a little reception there in the back. We got some coffee and pan dulce and some kind of other bakeries.
Goodies.
Mr. Guerra, Renee, do you have an item on the agenda? Okay. Okay. All right, on our consent agenda, Ms. Norma Garcia, our elected county treasurer. What item do you have on the agenda, Norma?
It's 9A, Judge.
All right, 9A.
I've been told that I'm the elected official that doesn't act like an elected official. I appreciate you taking me out of order, though, because I usually stay for the whole meeting. That's why I said that. Discussion and possible action on the Hidalgo County wage overpayment underpayment policy, and item 2 is discussion and possible action on Hidalgo County wage deduction authorization form. This is a follow-up on the discussion that we had last week, and I'm happy to report that we do have a policy that was approved by Inform, by the DA's office, and your attorney, Steve Crane, and the auditor. So at this point, I would recommend approval.
Did anybody represent the employees?
In terms of,
I'm trying to make sure that we're being fair with it.
Well,
I
if you
think
have the
both legal departments
district attorney
looked at both
and the
sides.
auditor,
All right,
Judge,
yes.
I have a comment to make regarding longevity pay. We just finished an audit of the payroll upload and noted that there were some individuals that are receiving longevity in excess of the limit set by statute. Statute says that employees can only receive longevity for up to 30 years and law enforcement up to 25. But what I would like to do is recommend that those individuals, the error to the longevity for those individuals be corrected as soon as possible.
Well, why don't we deal with this policy first that's on the agenda and give you an opportunity to provide us with the statute and your opinion. We'll put an item on the agenda and act on that issue next time.
Right. I think I already have, and I just wanted to, for the record, to reflect that error needs to be corrected as soon as possible.
All right. We have a proposed overpayment, underpayment policy. Are there any questions?
Judge,
Yes.
for the benefit of the audience, can you highlight the changes?
Well, basically, what this does is provides the employees an opportunity to reach an agreement for repayment of an overpayment, which is what the auditor had been recommending that we do.
The recommendation is unanimous by all of the four individuals you've
Yes.
stated. All right.
Yes, it is.
Are there any other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve this new policy.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item 2,
Was that for the one item or for the two that you?
That was for item number 1.
Okay. All right, then the other item is then the, well, I had read it.
it's the actual agreement.
Yes, the
We're
actual
approving the
agreement.
form.
giving them the options of either a full payment from their regular pay or in installments.
Move for approval of item number 2.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Let's move back to our consent agenda, item 4.
Judge,
Yes.
I would like to ask that consent agenda items 12J, 12O, and 12P be pulled for discussion.
Move for
P
approval
as
of
in-
consent
as in
agenda excluding item 12J, 12O, and 12P.
P.
Is that correct?
P as in Peter.
Yes.
P as in Peter.
P as in Paul.
Okay.
Paul.
Need a second? Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Are you going to address 12J, Marty?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Martha Salazar of Purchasing on the 12J. It is my understanding that late yesterday afternoon, we did provide the general and auto liability insurances to the auditor's office. On the second item, 12O, so we can proceed to approve 12J.
Move for approval of 12J on the consent agenda.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
On 12O, this was a situation where a vehicle that had been seized by Constable Precinct 4 was added to an auction, which we did not authorize the sale of that item. It was merely being stored at the auctioneer's office until a judgment was issued in the case, but it was sold at auction by the auctioneer's company. The remedy was that there was a judgment issued in favor of Constable Precinct 4, and the auctioneer company will reimburse Constable Precinct 4 for the amount that the vehicle was auctioned for, which I believe was $4,000.
I think there were a couple of instances, there was one of those, Marty, but there was another one where another company picked up a vehicle that was supposed to have been picked up by the auctioneer.
And we have on a regular basis made the auctioneer's company aware that unless it is pre-approved by ourselves, that is a vehicle to be either categorized as stored or for surplus for auction, they are not to approve someone just dropping off vehicles without the proper paperwork. And we do work with the auctioneer. Now, this was not something we were made aware of. It was merely left there by the constable's office after it was seized for possible contraband. And unfortunately, when the auction came about, it was included in the auction, but not listed by the county for auction.
Right.
But this has been resolved in that manner. There was an eventual judgment awarding to the county, and then the auctioneer will be reimbursing or has reimbursed Constable Precinct 4 for the amount of the auction proceeds, which is $4,000.
Marty, an auditor.
Yes, sir.
Seems to me that this kind of questions should be or can be resolved without bringing it to court.
Commissioner, there's many times that, and now I will tell you, in the case of 12O, I did not get this as a concern yesterday. I was prepared on 12O and 12P, even including those two. We do send responses. However, it has been advised to me by the auditor, irrespective of the one that 12O, like I said, this is the first time I see about it, and I did consult with Ms. Letty Chavez about it right now before I came to the podium. But the auditor has always said that they still remain as concerns in the event we forget and don't do something about it.
Well,
I mean, I'm paraphrasing what you've told me before.
Well, the agenda action today is to either renew or extend the terms of the contract. So the comment that I'm making is that we need to make sure that we notify the vendor of the obligation that the vendor has, and they should not sell any vehicles unless we authorize, or they should not authorize anyone else to retrieve a vehicle. They should be the only ones that retrieve, because there was another vehicle that was picked up by another company and sold also.
We do concur with what you said, and we have sent emails to them to that effect.
Okay.
So
All right.
this is not the first situation, but they are been on notice that they cannot permit vehicles there unless it's gone through a process that we are aware of.
Okay.
It is difficult, I can tell you that sometimes it is difficult if an elected official shows up there and wants to leave something, I can understand that, but there is a process that needs to happen. Here's the Chief Deputy.
Joel Rivera, Chief Deputy for Constable Precinct 4. In this particular instance, where the vehicle was sold without our knowledge, every measure was followed. We impounded the vehicle. We indicated in the paperwork appropriately that the vehicle was, civil action was going to be taken against this vehicle. For whatever reason, the internal measures that Rod Robertson has failed. So since then, we have put in internal measures to prevent that from happening. We now have deputies going out there weekly. We have clearly marked on the windshield, sees Constable Precinct 4, the case number. Before every auction, our deputy goes and makes sure that that vehicle has been awarded to us. All the internal measures are in place regarding that vehicle. In the instance where the other vehicle was seized by a company, we had contacted the appropriate record service, which was Rod Robertson's. They were busy. They in turn contacted Hacienda Ford. Hacienda Ford went out there, picked up the vehicle, and sold it without our knowledge. That was a failure within Rod Robertson's once again. However, that measure has been remedied through correspondence and through internal measures, both at our office and Rod Robertson's. This is a bit of a growing pain, but it should never happen again.
All right.
On item 12P,
We need to take
Do you need action on it?
yes.
So moved.
On 12-0, need a second. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
On 12P, this company's insurances do expire at the end of next week. We had already informed them. This particular company, in our history with them, mails us the renewals. Of course, I'm asking that action be taken to approve, as the insurances right now are current, but with the understanding that if they do not, if we do not secure them by the expiration date, we cannot proceed with that contract. So we can take action on that, too.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next item is open forum. First presenter is Virginia Townsend.
Good morning again. I suppose I should just wait until it comes up on the agenda, but it's under purchasing, and it's precinct 1, and it's talking about the constable office again. And I don't know, I'm not asking you all to get the creepy feelings that I get, but I get kind of creepy feelings sometimes when something continuously comes up, and it's always more money, a change, more money. And it seems to me that the constable office is one of those things that I'm not comfortable with. I don't know who's paying attention. I don't know if it's gone over. You know, if you do enough change orders, you would not be the low bid at all. So I don't know. I'm going to get an explanation from somewhere, and if I don't get it, I'll ask for it in writing, so it's okay. I will be satisfied. But it doesn't seem right to me. There's too much money going into that building and too much change. It's been changed a bunch. Thank you.
Next presenter is Opal Billman.
Good morning. My name is Opal Billman. The Pledge of Allegiance declares that liberty and justice is the right of we the people in the United States. I have been held in false imprisonment for 16 years as the result of being sued for divorce. I have never heard of this being done before, but the court appointed a beneficiary for my community property and false imprisonment for me. Also, 2 state trials have been held. As contrived evidence, these trials can be used to claim that the beneficiary is the owner of the land and that I am trespassing on the beneficiary's land. It is my community property. I own it. My legal beneficiaries are my 3 adult children. To have a judge appoint a third-party beneficiary that we don't know places my life at risk, is illegal, unconstitutional, immoral, and totally inappropriate. Supposedly, the beneficiary bought Joe's community property. When a person who owns land wants to sell it, the land is listed for sale to the highest buyer. How much did the beneficiary pay for Joe's land? Can he prove it? Can he prove that he ever talked a land deal with Joe? Such as, "Hello, Joe, I'd like to buy your land." It is a known fact that Joe never had any land to sell and would have told him so. The lawful beneficiaries of Joe Billman and me are Cynthia Joe Billman, Anastasia Louise Billman, and Jason Bruce Billman. It was a petition for divorce. The court used the petition to give away all of our community property for free, then assumed the position, "We're not listening to you and we're not going to do anything about it." That's okay. The court's actions are complete malarkey. Examine the records. The judge's only job was to award a fair divorce settlement of our community property between Joe and me and close the case. Since that did not and cannot ever happen, existing law states the judge must dismiss the case. I was born in the USA. I'm proud to be an American. We have always been the greatest nation in the world. This is our justice system, we the people. If any of us are being treated unconstitutionally and illegally, we have the responsibility to step up and say so. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, next item is item 6A. Is there anything to report? If not, then let's move on to item 6B.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Karina Cardoso again with the Public Affairs. I would like to introduce Mr. Gustavo Salinas. He is with Adult Protective Services. The item reads, approval of a proclamation proclaiming the month of May as Elder Abuse Prevention Month. This is an item that we have done every year. Gustavo, would you like to say a few words about the proclamation before we read it? Okay, go ahead.
Sure. Good morning, Judge, Commission, everyone here. My name is Gustavo Salinas. I am employed with Adult Protective Services. I just want to give you a couple of stats here. Locally in Hidalgo County, we have over 2,800 reports, of which a little more than half are actually validated. So that means that here within Hidalgo County, we have roughly 1,400 cases of validated abuse, neglect, or exploitation. At Adult Protective Services, what we do is we investigate abuse, physical abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation of elderly 65 and over, as well as adults 18 to 64 that may have a disability. So the way we get our reports is through the community, so I really appreciate having the opportunity to speak today to the court. We do get our reports through our hotline. It is a 1-800 number. It's 1-800-252-5400. It is a confidential call, so anyone is able to call 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And we do have both English and Spanish speaking operators there. And we do, like I said, rely on the community to advise us of suspected abuse. We say that we don't necessarily need you to know that it's going on, but if you have that gut feeling that something's not right with your neighbor, your family member, we do want you and urge you to give us a call. An alternative is that you could go online. It's www.abusehotline.org. You can also do your reporting online, and we will begin that investigation within 24 hours. So again, thank you so much for taking the time today to create awareness about this issue that happens here locally, as well as throughout the nation and the world.
Thank you.
So,
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge, and we will share this information on the website, including the numbers and the link to report if anyone in the public would like more information. Want to take a
Very
picture
good.
real fast?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We got one over here for.
A mí todavía me falta, Tito.
Judge, Commissioners, if we may go back to item 6A, there is something to report on the legislative. Rick is right here.
All right. Can you give us the highlights of the important ones?
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Judge. Rick Alvarez with the County Judge's Office. Today marks the 112th day of the legislative session. What I'd like to do is discuss two local bills, Senate Bill 1559 by Lucio, relating to the collection of fees for solid waste management in certain counties. That's in the Intergovernmental Relations Committee. It's still in committee. And the other bill is House Bill 3126 by the other Lucio, relating to authorization by referendum elections of an increase in optional fees imposed on vehicle registrations in certain counties to fund transportation projects. These bills are in committee. If we need to, what I like to do is get direction from the court to allow me to use urban counties and the Texas Association of Counties to move some of these bills out of committee and into the House. I think these bills are important to this county, and that's the recommendation that I'd like to present today. On another note, Committee Substitute House Bill 611 by Guillen, that was related to the regulation of subdivisions in counties, including certain border and economically dispersed counties. That was in the Land Management Committee. It was heard last week, and it failed to pass the House. So we're currently monitoring that bill, but currently that bill is dead. One other bill that I'd like to, two other bills, House Bill 2094 by Munoz, relating to the regulation of roadside vendors. That's in the County Affairs Committee, and that was reported favorably out of committee and is a local and consent calendar. That's another bill that I like to use. Some of these associations need association help from to pass these bills out. I'd like to report on an election bill, House Bill 2475 by Miller. It's relating to the oath taken by a person who assists a voter. That's in the Elections Committee, and that bill did pass the House. Now, that bill amends the election code to include in the oath a statement affirming that a person assisting is not a voter's employer, an agent of the voter employer, or an officer or agent of a labor union to which a voter belongs. I'll continue to monitor some of these other bills and report on a weekly basis. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Under the County Judge's Office in open forum, we want to announce that the Hidalgo County was awarded $8.7 million in tax credits. Mr. Lopez, can you make that announcement as part of the open forum and your request that we send a letter to the congressman?
Good morning, Commission. Yes, sir, we've been awarded $8.7 million in tax credits from the state, from TDCA, and we're going to use those to repair our McAllen Memorial Apartments, the ones right behind the pavilion, or on McCall Road. I'm having a little bit of a problem getting the approval from USDA The legal structure we submitted, the LLC we submitted, there's some technical issues with it. So it looks like we're going to have to travel to Washington, D.C. and meet with the USDA DC office, and we need a request from you, Judge, from the commission, to Congressman Henry Cuellar and Congressman Rubén Hinojosa to set up those meetings for us. And that's what I'm requesting.
All right, sir. Well, I just want to make you aware, I prepared a letter and addressed it to both congressmen, asking them to do that in our behalf, in your behalf.
Okay.
Thank you, and congratulations on that award.
Thank you. That'll work.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Next item is D.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. Jaime Longoria for the County Judge's Office. Item 6D is acceptance of the modification to the period of performance for the Energy Efficiency Conservation Block Grant, number DE EE 0000912. The period of performance has been modified to September 30th, 2013, with authorization for the county judge to sign appropriate documents.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge.
sir.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Item 7, Mr. Guerra.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. There's no action under item 7A 1 and 2, or 7B 1 through 3. I'll have an update on the modulars for next week. Item 7C, Judge, I am asking approval to authorize our county judge, Ramon Garcia, to sign a property damage release form, and this will settle a total loss auto accident with one of our county vehicles.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item D, I'm asking approval of it to accept the settlement check from National Unity Insurance Company in the amount of $12,412.24. Again, this will settle a lost auto accident with one of our county vehicles.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item E, I'm asking approval to accept the settlement check from Endeavor General Agency, LLC, in the amount of $1,871.95, and this will also settle an auto accident with one of our county vehicles.
Move for approval.
Second. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item F, I am asking approval to process a payment, an invoice claim for A-Sign Language Company, and this was for interpreting services. The invoice number is 8811. The invoice date is December 17th of 2012. It's $261.25. Again, this would be with the authority for the county treasurer to issue the payment after the auditing procedures are completed by our county auditor. The auditor has made a point of information with respect that he would need the original invoice. I will make sure that all appropriate documents are sent over to his office.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners.
Item 8, our constables.
Good morning, Commissioners. Judge, good morning.
Morning.
I have a discussion, consideration, and approval to appoint Francisco Sanchez as a reserve deputy constable for Constable Celestino Avila Jr., Constable Precinct 1, in accordance with the Texas Local Government Code, Section 86.012.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen. You have a good day.
Can you take a few minutes and explain, well, no, she's not here. That's okay. Ms. Townsend had a concern, but she stepped outside.
Okay.
Item B.
Thank you.
8B. Constable Precinct 4.
Joel Rivera, Chief Deputy for Constable Precinct 4. Agenda item 8B, approval of 2013 appropriation of funds into Constable Precinct 4 Investigative House Bill 65 Fund in the amount of $20,000.78 to fund police gear and training.
Move for approval.
Second. Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 10, our district courts.
Judge, if I may, I'll present for the district courts. For indigent defense, they're asking approval of a claim invoice, again, with authority of the county treasurer to issue payment after auditing, review, audit, and processing procedure completed by our county auditor. There are two invoices for Sprint, one dated 1/27/13 and the second dated 2/27/13, and they are for $35.99 respectively. And one last invoice dated March 27th of this year for Sprint as well in the amount of $42.99.
Why is it they're not in the pool, or what is it?
Well, that's what I was going to ask, but these are claims for data cards. Are they going to be added to the contract?
They should be added to the contract. I'll get with our IT department to make sure that.
Why is it taking so long to add them to contracts?
I believe, I'm sorry.
Is this the same issue that we have with the health department?
No, this is different. This is cell phones. What happens is at the beginning of the year, we request that all departments submit their wireless device policy paperwork to us, then we bring it to court. This department failed to bring those items to us, so they are not approved for service, so that's why the claim comes up, and they're bringing it to court now to retroactively pay because we had not ran them through court until recently. That's what happened on these cell phones. It's a different matter. It's not that there is a Sprint DIR state awarded contract, that there is. What they didn't do was run it through court at the beginning of the year for permission to acquire the services, sir.
Have they submitted the request now and court approved
I believe
it?
they passed it a week or two ago. If memory recalls, I may be off on that
But
one.
Hernan, you said retroactively pay. There was a service provided.
Yes.
It's okay to
yes.
pay that.
Yeah, we can pay.
Move for approval?
Thank you, sir.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item 11, our HR department.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. 11A is on behalf of the Purchasing Department requesting permission to advertise hire for the following: Inventory Specialist 3, Slot 13 at $38,507, and Inventory Specialist 4, Slot 12, $40,898.
Move for approval?
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Under 11B, it's under Civil Service requesting approval to process payment for the following. It was a sandwich tray ordered for the Civil Service Commission hearing.
$49.
Judge.
Move for approval?
Yes, sir.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
This invoice or this cost were not totally in compliance with the county food policy. I thought I'd make you aware of that. The policy requires that the food can be purchased if an event is going to last for a certain period of time. This event did not last enough to comply with the policy. But
What time was
The
it?
meeting
What event
started at
was this?
5:30, and it ended an hour and a half later. I am not in control as to how long their meetings last, but we do provide a sandwich tray for them when they go into executive
Sure.
session.
I mean, that's only reasonable.
And, if they adjourned an hour and a half later, that's beyond my control.
And Judge, if I may, Esther is absolutely correct. With respect to the meetings, on average, they last much, much longer
Right.
on average. I think it's a good day when they can resolve issues relatively quickly. But in this particular case, with respect to Mr. Ufracio's comment on the policy, yes, it was less than what the policy calls for. But again, on average, they last much longer.
Right,
so-
just for information, so it's up to them to approve
Right.
it if you want to
So-
approve it.
That one. Move for
Well,
approval?
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Mr. Ofracio, what about like this morning? We had a
Thank you.
reception for one of our elected officials that's being honored, and we spend about, I don't know, $40 or something on coffee and donuts. And I was told that our policy does not allow for the county to pay for that.
The policy has certain criteria you got to meet, Judge, in order for the county to pay.
Well, we got
for
a
that.
meeting going on, and it's a,
Right, well, if it meets the criteria of the policy,
but do you agree that that would?
well, I don't know.
I mean,
you
it
gotta
was,
take a look at the
it's still
criteria.
going on outside. They're serving coffee and sweet bread to people that were here in acknowledgement.
Again, if the food was purchased and it complies with the policy, we should pay it.
Well, but you're the one that decides whether it's complying with the policy.
Hour and a half, you said, but 4.5 hours would be okay?
I think the policy says that you got to have a meeting and it's got to be certain things that you got to do, and it has to last for longer than 2 hours. There's certain criteria you got to meet, so if the criteria is met, I don't see a problem with it.
All right, sir. Our HR,
Okay, under 11C, it's under the Health and Human Services Health Division. It's the approval of the following personnel actions. To delete a laboratory technician, slot 42 at $25,772, and to delete an eligibility specialist 1, slot 30 at $24,929. To create a medical technician 1, slot 134 at $25,772, and to create a clerk 2, slot 54 at $24,924.
Move for approval.
929.
Second.
I'm sorry?
929.
I'm sorry, 929.
Yeah.
those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And item 2 is request permission to advertise and hiring for the following positions. Would you like for me to read them again? Medical technician 1, slot 134 at $25,772. A clerk 2, slot 54 at $24,929. A clerk 3, slot 36 at $26,330. And a clerk 2, slot 50 at $22,303. And an eligibility specialist 1, slot 32 at $24,087.
Move for approval on 2 and 3.
Judge,
Second.
Yes,
comment on that item. Slot number 0036 is currently not vacant, and they're requesting approval to hire someone for that slot.
is that true?
No, it's not. The change of status was submitted. They are vacant, and the change of status are en route.
All
You've
right,
got everything.
Sir?
You have
Okay.
everything in order?
Yes, sir, I do.
make sure you show a copy to the auditor's office.
To be
Well, now
vacant,
he signs off on it, so it's kind of like being held up a little bit longer.
Let me ask you a question, Esther. Is it typical that we're seeing all these, the ones that are procedural, just to advertise?
I'm sorry, sir?
Because I hadn't seen them in the past. I know that if there's a salary change and all that, that typically comes to court. But if it's a routine issue on a vacancy, does it not go through your office and then Valdez, or is there?
Yes.
Are we
But
doing
he-
something different?
The executive officer was putting it on Commissioner's Court to request permission to advertise these vacancies because of a freeze.
Right.
And it was
Oh.
case by case, but I don't know if that freeze has been lifted.
And-
But as a courtesy to the court, we're coming to you for
For
permission.
each one?
And
Right.
Judge, Commissioners, I'd like to do the same thing we're doing with respect to the travel. My office reviews them. There's several instances where I won't ask for it to be advertised. I'll delay it for whatever reason. But if in order with the court, I'd like to go back to the way we did it. Just process them through Esther's office, through my office. I approve them, or I don't approve them, and then we just.
But so long as they're budgeted and they're
As long as,
vacant, then
exactly.
there's no.
So it's an administrative, we just started this process,
Right.
but
The concern that I would have would be that in the past, we've used it as a way of giving salary increases.
no, any changes with respect to a slot, delete or create, must come before the governing body.
So as long as we understand that, just if we can revert to the old.
Okay, revert, yes, sir.
Pero keep in mind, the responsibility is going to fall on you.
I understand, Commissioner.
So anything
I
comes
understand.
up, it'll be you, not the.
I understand.
Department.
If there was an advertisement, as Mr. Ufrazi pointed out, if there was an advertisement and it wasn't vacant, and then there was a mix-up, then yes, I understand. That would be my responsibility, that I would have to account for that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to
but
approve
so you're in
item.
essence doing away with the policy because there's a policy, hiring freeze policy, right?
No, the hiring freeze policy, sir, was last year. Last year. I just kept the process that we implemented. But again, I'm not trying to make this agenda more cumbersome than what it already is.
Right. So currently, there's no hiring freeze policy?
Right,
Okay.
there is no
Now,
hiring
on
freeze
the-
policy right now.
As far as this particular slide, if you can put a comment in the agenda item that it'd be effective,
Yeah.
vacant effective such date, that will make it clear when it's going to be effective.
All right, we have a
Well,
motion
they
and
are
a second
effective
to approve
4/22.
item
They're all
11C, 2 and 3. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge, Commissioners, if I may, Esther, we have the same action item for item D for the Fire Marshal's office. Esther's office has already completed everything. Everything's in order, and it is for a clerk 3, slot 7.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge, the same comment on that item, slot number 007 is currently not vacant, and I guess it's in the process, Esther?
Yes, it was vacant, and all the information has been submitted to HR. We've now forwarded it to the budget office, and it's en route.
Okay.
So my direction from the court is we don't have to put these items on the agenda?
Check with Valde.
On the permission to advertise?
Yes.
Okay.
Run it by Balde, though.
Okay, thank you very much.
Item 12, our Health Department.
Morning, Judge Commissioners.
Morning, sir.
I have item 12A, discussion and action including but not limited to indigent health care program 1115 waiver expenditures. Sir, I do not have any discussion on that. I do have an update. Very quickly, our plan was approved at the state level, and we received notice of that last week. So we're proceeding now to work those procedures out, and now it's been forwarded to the federal level for final review. So we're waiting to hear from the feds on that. That's an update on our regional plan for that. Questions or comments on that item?
No, sir. Item B.
Okay, item B, sir, requesting approval for the first amendment to the interlocal agreement between the University of Texas Health Science Center San Antonio in Hidalgo County for the preparation of 1115 waiver program plan for the total amount of $120,000 with county with the authority with county judge to execute the amendment. This was I came back with information as court recommended to review with legal counsel, and I'm coming back this week to
We've already approved 100. We're adding 20.
20, correct.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 2, sir, is approval to process payment for invoice number 3 submitted by the University of Texas Health Science Center San Antonio in the amount of $20,000 pursuant to the amended interlocal agreement between the University of Texas Health Science Center at San Antonio and Hidalgo County with authority from county treasurer to issue payment after auditing procedures are completed by the county auditor.
Move for approval.
Second. Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Okay.
Item C.
Item C, sir, discussing consideration and approval of the Hidalgo County 1115 waiver intergovernmental transfer policy, which is attached to your packet, sir. What we're doing is we are anticipating some of the changes and concerns involving the IGT. We followed the county auditor's recommendations along with the budget office recommendations in developing a policy for doing the IGT transfers, and I'm bringing this forward for your review and approval.
What is the revision about? Because the policy was already approved, right?
Yeah, but what we're doing, we had the policy we added for dealing with any funding beyond uncompensated care. We're also dealing with any issues that may come up in the future, dealing with DISPRO, and those funding procedures that it all needs to be processed properly within plenty of time in accordance to the schedule, and all that has to adhere to the rules.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Okay, this next item is extremely important, sir. I want to really make sure that I get clear on this one. Discussion, consideration, and approval to transfer up to $2,858,335.50, the maximum share to Hidalgo County Medicaid Supplement Program escrow account for Demonstration Year 1 Delivery System Reform Incentive Program Payment, or DSREP. This is when I came to the budget process last year, I had asked to set aside up to about $3 million to look. We have a one-time opportunity for the first year of funding to develop the 1115 waiver plan that we could submit for that plan up to $2.8 million that can be used, multiplied, and brought back to the county. At that time, we did not have the clear rules or instruction from the federal government on if that money is applied from our general fund or our reserve, would that money return back to the specific account and reserve or general fund area. We have still been waiting for official notification on that. As of this morning, we still have not gotten answer to that question. We have been instructed that if we multiplied, that funding can be used for medical purposes, the amount to be put back into general fund and those areas. We have not told you cannot do it, but we have not been told that you can do it. It has not been made clear to us. I need to make that very clear to you all on that. Now, we've had a meeting with Mr. Eufrasio and Mr. Cruz last week to discuss this. I'm going to let Mr. Cruz give a little bit of an update on it, and then Mr. Fracios, I know he's got some words and some things to say as well.
Judge, Commissioners, we did set aside $3 million last year for this purpose. Again, the intent last year was that these $3 million that were going to be taken from the general fund balance were going to be returned to the general fund balance upon receipt of the multiplied funds. However, at this point, there's still no clear direction that that can be done. At this point, what would happen is once we get the dollars, the multiplied funds back after they're put through the IGT, those funds would then be restricted for healthcare purposes. So in essence, those $3 million, we can't take it and put it into road and bridge or put it into the courthouse. They would have to be used only for healthcare purposes. Again, if we do get direction that they can be returned back to the fund, then it would go back into the county's general fund. Again, the county does appropriate roughly about $7.4 million for health administration, health clinics, and indigent health, not including the $8 million that we do for the 1115 waiver program. So there are funds. However, I'm not too sure how many of these funds we could potentially offset with these funds. So I just want to make it clear to the court that at this point, we don't have that clear direction that these funds could go back to the general fund. So they would be restricted. They will come back to the county. The county is the anchor entity. So they will come back to the county. They will be put into the county's financial system. However, they will be listed as restricted funds and cannot be used for any general purpose. At this point, based on the information the limited information that we have at this point, again, if we do get guidance when the plan is formally adopted by the feds, at that point, we might get better direction as to how we can utilize these funds. But at this point, these funds would be restricted. I just want to advise the court and caution the court that if we were to do this, they would be restricted for healthcare purposes at this point.
Steve?
So the bottom line is, worst case scenario, those money would be used for the intended purpose.
Correct. And it would be health across the county and anywhere. There's a couple of things we need to look at. We spend over $7 million in healthcare services beyond 1115 waiver in the county. Some of that may be able to be offset with that, and that could be looked at that way. The other thing is we're looking at wellness programs within the county to help us on insurance costs involving, we've been meeting with Mr. Looney about that. That may be also considered because it's healthcare. And it can look at decreasing diabetes, decreasing cardiovascular disease, et cetera. So we may be able to offset some of those costs. But I want to make it real clear, I don't have that 100% clearance. Sure. We're waiting to hear that. Now, the downside is if we do not invest this money, we are totally responsible for the operation through general fund for the anchor component of the county. So we will have to pay. For the what? For the anchor operations for all the 4 counties and all the responsibility of what the anchor does. We would be accountable for that funding. So the hours, the labor costs, et cetera, we would have to pay for that.
Yeah, no, we want to approve this, but I want to be sure that the motion is correct. Steve, how can you make a motion for that?
I would just do it based on the language in here that to transfer $2,858,335.50 for the Hidalgo Medicaid Supplement Program escrow account for demonstration year 1 delivery system reform incentive payment DSRIP.
Okay, that's my motion.
So the money is not going to go actually.
Took quite an effort to get that
escrow
motion done,
account.
didn't it?
It's going to be going to the state, right? Once you invest, it'll be IGT basically.
Right.
Yes, based on the telling instructions.
We will follow the instructions from the state and the federal government. It would be used for IGT
All right, we have a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Eddie, at some point, can you identify some of the areas where it would be this money can offset that?
The second we get that information, Commissioner, we will forward it to the court, and then we'll probably have some kind of meeting with the budget office and auditors to make sure we follow all the processes.
You're saying we're going to get back possibly a multiplied amount. What amount would that be?
We would get the 2.8 multiplied out. We would get, I think, comes out to about $6.8 million. Total. $6.8 million.
For health care?
To be used for the anchoring, at this point, to be used to help supplement, support the anchoring program in healthcare within our
That's
area.
in addition to that indigent amount that we have to come up with, the 8 million?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll be getting that money now. We cannot use that 6 million and multiply it again, because then that would be considered double dipping and
All
using
right.
federal money, so.
Can you move on to number 3?
Yes, sir. Approval of letter thank you very much. Approval of letter of request by Health and Human Services Commission in reference to the demonstration year 1 delivery system reform incentive payment DSREP to Hidalgo County with authority for county judge to execute this letter, which would be the information we just discussed.
Move for approval.
Second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item D, sir, I'm requesting approval to submit renewal grant application for Public Health Emergency Preparedness PHEP program for FY14 in the amount of $587,198. This grant requires a 10% local funding match, which we've appropriated already through the budget office and within our own system.
Move for approval.
Second. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item E, requesting approval to accept preparedness prevention, community preparedness section, bioterrorism discretionary program contract 2013-041204, amendment 003B. The purpose of this amendment is to revise the budget to reflect the correct amount for equipment budget category and the match cost effective for date of amendment of 4/30/13.
So moved.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And item 2 is requesting approval of budget appropriations.
So moved.
Second. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
I sit here and watch you guys. I mean, at first I was thinking we're going to find out if we got any gamblers.
Any
then
what?
Gamblers, you know.
They're shutting down the maquinitas, Virginia.
But the other thing I thought is they're between a rock and a hard place. They don't have any choice. What offends me is we're dealing with a federal government that doesn't have its act in order. That's why we're hanging. That's why we don't know what's going on, because they don't know what's going on. So they're dumping it on us and the local thing. I just want you all to realize this is a terrible position to have to be in. And I understand why you do it and why you vote for things that you don't know whether it's coming back or not, and you don't know how we're going to be able to use it. I know.
No, that's not a fair statement, Virginia. I mean, in the end, we're not going to lose anything. In the end, the possibility of gaining about an additional $4 million is there. I mean, how can you say that that's something that we're voting on that we don't know anything about?
No, I'm saying federal doesn't know what they're about because they haven't given any guidelines
But
yet.
as far as we're concerned, if, the money is going to come back. Even if we don't get the multiplier deal, we're still going to get our money back.
Your money will come back, but you don't even know how you can use it. I just think it's,
All right.
I just don't think it's very good. But I understand you all, why you had to do what you did.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Item 13, emergency management.
Judge, Mr. Oscar Montoya couldn't be here today. He did submit to each of the commissioners a written report. If you'd like, I can read that, but each of you should have received a written report on the status of...
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
I know I saw our county, just a minute, Renan. Our county clerk is here, Arturo. Mr. Guajardo? Do you have an item on the agenda?
Actually, I didn't have an item on the agenda, Judge, but I did see that under 7B3, under Executive Officer Valdeguerra, emergency situations occurring since last agenda meeting. The reason I walked over here right now, Judge, is because this is really just for informational purposes. But on this Friday, we had another leak there at the county clerk's office. As you well know, we've been struggling with leaks there for the past several years. We recently redid the roof there to, hopefully that wouldn't happen. And when they called me on Friday, I was on my way down from Austin, about 1 o'clock, that we had another leak. I said, oh, no, not again. We just redid the roof. It wasn't the roof, it was the drain pipes coming in from the second floor, which is actually the bathroom. It all came down right on top of our server room, and it fried our land record server. Fried, for lack of a better term. I mean, it killed our land record server, which could have been detrimental. I mean, we had guys on it. We flew in technicians from Dallas. They worked through the weekend, and they got it back up and running. Had that not happened, though, I mean, that could have been critical to Hidalgo County. As you well know, our local economy relies heavily on our land record system. I mean, every bank loan is being based on a mortgage that is the property that's being mortgaged. So the reason I'm here is just to let you know that I've asked Buildings and Grounds to make an assessment. What I'm being told is that it was a steel pipe that's running right over the county clerk's office. They identified a segment of it that had cracked, and that's where all the waste poured down on our server room, and they replaced that. But what I have asked them to do is perhaps replace it all, because it's just a matter of time before it happens again. After several years, I mean, we've had leaks there for 13 years that I've been there. We've replaced carpet multiple occasions, computers, furniture, and I'd hate to see that happen again. But right now that it just occurred, I've asked them to make an assessment, and I'd appreciate you all's support when that does come down, that we're going to need something to be done to replace those pipes. And that's the reason I came here. I thought it was important enough to share that with you. I don't know, a lot of times you might not be aware of things that happen there at the courthouse. But that did happen to us, and I'm glad to say that our team that worked, through the weekend got that server replaced, and the system was back up and running Monday morning. So,
Yes, sir.
But we need to be aware that building is we all know that it's got problems, but that happened to us, and I needed to share that with you. On another note, I've got a substation in McAllen offering the same services to our constituency over there. Electricity was out today. It's that power outage. So I had to bring the staff to the courthouse. The bill wasn't paid. Electricity bill was not paid. We've got purchasing and in Buildings and Grounds trying to figure out who dropped the ball or what, but that can't be happening. Okay, so I mean, if that needs to be, somebody needs to be on top of that. So that office is closed for the day because electricity is shut down because the bill was not paid. So
Can you get together with Balde and Bacon, bring them up to speed on the problem areas?
On the leak issue?
Yeah.
Absolutely, I appreciate that, Commissioner. I have told Buildings and Grounds already that that's what I want. I want an assessment done and hopefully replace all that pipe that's over our office, and, we're getting a little bit of...
Let me suggest that you contact Mr. Guerra, and...
You'll be the point of contact.
Right, yes, and I'm well aware, Commissioner, of the issue. I know that they did have that leak. The leak was addressed fairly timely, but the issue itself is the pipe overall. And so we're getting a cost assessment
What
for the
contractor
replacement.
do you talk to for advice about it?
We don't have a specific contractor per se, depending on the nature of the
Like
project.
on this particular one, you need somebody to give you some technical
Oh, no, we're
advice.
working with purchasing with respect to the replacement of that pipe.
Surely we have somebody looking at it.
Judge, how about an on-call contract with some of the previous firms that
excuse
just
me.
have done that?
We had several studies done on the building.
It is, Commissioner, you're
And
absolutely...
surely we have some record somewhere.
Well, I don't doubt that we have record or what's wrong with that building, but we just don't have the expertise to figure out how we're going to
No, but we
remediate it.
do have that information, Commissioner.
Yes, you're...
Comes from...
Right, we do have that information, Commissioner, and again, that's exactly why the issue of the new courthouse, the infrastructure at the courthouse, specifically the piping, the vast majority, and I'm talking about not replacements that we've done as of late, but the building is made out of cast iron, the infrastructure with respect to the piping. And that cast iron is is corroding.
Right.
Is eroding away.
And from my standpoint, I mean, it's obvious that we will be there for another few years, whether we eventually build a
Right.
courthouse or not, so we're gonna need to address
Exactly.
that
So,
that
yes,
issue.
but
Maybe
we are
we can get
addressing
a
it.
construction manager on board, on call, so all this stuff.
I'll work with, with Marty's office, and I'll have an update for the court with respect to this particular issue, but in general, the courthouse.
Mr. Guajardo, can you get a backup server somewhere else?
We
In
do
the
have
odd chance?
backup servers, luckily, but to be able to operate in that office, we would not have been able to do that. We wouldn't have lost any information, but, to continue to be operational, it could have been detrimental to our operation had we not been able to get another server, rebuild one, and get it back up and going, so.
Well, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you all, appreciate it.
Item 14, our IT department.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. Quick item for County Court of Law 7, authorization approval to purchase one wireless device as listed. It is a data card for the court.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. Have a good morning.
Item 15, Urban County.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. Our first item on the agenda is a request on behalf of the City of San Juan requesting consideration and action to enter into a contract with Castle Enterprises LLC for a flood drainage improvement project in the amount of $229,973. This bid came in at 11% higher than the engineer's estimate, so therefore we recommend approval.
Has that company ever done work for the county?
Not to my knowledge, but from what I understand, they contacted the references, and we were told that they do a very good job. And because of the fact that we'll be able to utilize their
All right, move for
Second.
approval.
So moved.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B is requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code 262-024A4 for material testing.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
The item B is a presentation of the scoring grid for the purposes of ranking by Commissioners Court of 3 testing firms. This is for a project in Precinct 1. Street improvements, the professional firms evaluated are professionals, MEG engineers with a grade of 95%, Terracon with a grade of 92%, and Professional Services Industries with a grade of 87.67. Would you like to rank them in that order?
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item C is requesting the authority to negotiate a professional engineering service contract with the highest ranked firm of MEG engineers.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item C is also a request on behalf of Precinct 1. We are requesting your authorization to reject all bids received on May 6th for a Precinct 1 street improvement project for Science Avenue. This bid came in way under the engineer's estimate, and therefore we feel uncomfortable with the actual award.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
It came in way under?
Way under the engineer's estimate. It was 19.3% under the engineer's estimate. If we were to award the contract, and should there be any concerns regarding the completion of the project,
Do they have a bond?
the bond would not cover all of the work that needed to be done.
All right.
Yeah, it won't cover no más up to there, and then we're stuck
All
with
right.
it.
Move for approval.
Thank you.
Next item.
Okay, item D is a request on behalf of Precinct 4, requesting the approval and award of best and final negotiated contract with Mata Garcia Architects LLP in the amount of $48,070. This is for a park and recreational facility project.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item E is requesting the exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code 262.024A4.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
B is a presentation of the scoring grid for the purposes of ranking. of the sole member of the county's approved professional appraisal services. This is for a project related to the GLOW contract, Benitez Drain. The appraiser is HLH Appraisal Services, and it was graded at 92.67.
Second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item C is requesting the authority to negotiate a professional service contract with the appraisal review services.
Second. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Our final item is requesting the approval of a program amendment for the City of La Jolla using the year 25, which is the 2012 funding. The amendment will delete various street locations and add a few additional street locations to the work plan.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 16, elections.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. Item 16A is approval of the appointment of members to the Hidalgo County Vote Center Committee. And in red will be the 4 additional members. We've got Humberto Garcia, David Fox, Daniel Diaz, and Eli Olivares.
Move for approval?
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And the second page on that handout that Karina is giving you is just an overview of first day of early voting for those 3 political subdivisions that we are running for your information. I have included the total number of registered voters and the percentage of early voting turnout for your information. We've got Mercedes, the City of Mercedes, Hidalgo ISD, and McAllen ISD. You can see the total number of registered voters and then the percentage right below the blue. Any questions on that? No. And those are the 3 that we are running. Of course, there are 3 additional elections that we are not running.
Thank you.
Okay, so then item 16, if I may, item 16B, E, and F are approval of lease contracts, and they are for the City of McAllen, the City of La Jolla, and the City of Edinburgh for their elections to be held on May 11th, 2013.
Move for approval?
Check. Judge,
Yes.
comment regarding 16F. The city of Edinburgh still owes the county $22,280.03 for the November 6, 2012 election. Has that been collected?
No, sir, and there is nothing in the election code that says that we cannot move forward if there is an outstanding balance.
But you're making, you're trying to collect it, though.
Yes, sir. Every month, we do send a monthly invoice, and we do communicate with the political subdivision and visit with them, and they will be, we've never had an issue, ever, with the City of Edinburgh. I'm sure that there are auditors, and they are reviewing the invoice.
What was the total?
What's
We've
the
not
total
collected
amount?
yet. I'm sorry?
The total due?
I don't know what it is right now, sir. I didn't.
$22,280.03.
And where's that from?
We've never had
It's
an
for the
issue.
November 6, 2012 election
Edinburgh.
for City of Edinburgh.
We are in the process right now of collecting the November 2012
from last
elections.
year.
I'm sorry, sir?
It's not that old, it's from last year?
Yes.
It's from the November, and not everyone has paid the November. There are still outstanding balances. It usually takes from 6 months to 8 months, but we've never had an issue with them at all.
No. No, we probably owe them more money at this point.
Move for approval.
Second.
For the record, can you state those items again that you're approving?
It was, what, B, C, D, E, F?
And F.
It would be B, E, and F as lease.
Move for approval.
Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Now, I will read item 16C, and that is approval of full contract for election services between Hidalgo County and the City of Mercedes for their election to be held on May 11th, 2013.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 16D, approval of full contract for election services between Hidalgo County and the Hidalgo Independent School District for their special election to be held on May 11th,
So moved.
2013.
Second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. Invite everyone to go out there and vote.
Thank you. Item 17, our planning.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Raul Sin, Planning Administrator. One item on the agenda is preliminary approval variance request, Mystical Star subdivision. This is a one-lot subdivision located on 2812 east of Kenyon. It's outside the city ETJ. It's in the rural area. Basically, what they're doing is they're creating a one-lot subdivision where they currently have some apartments existing. However, the tract was divided out of a 5-acre tract, and in order to be in compliance, they must plat. And the variance is not to require the filling stations. It was presented to the subdivision advisory board. One would be required, however, there's one approximately about a quarter-mile west, I guess at the intersection of Kenyon there in 2812, and the advisory board didn't have an issue with it. Our office would not have an issue since this is an existing track already, and they're just bringing it into compliance with the platting process. The building's already there, the parking's already there, everything is there in place. It's just a matter of complying with the local government code requirements so they can continue to have service on the track.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Great. Thank you very much.
Item 18, Precinct 2.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Raul Siguero, Precinct 2.
Morning, sir.
Representing Commissioner Palacios. This is the item is requesting acceptance and approval of a license request to construct 2 gatewell structures. These are concrete box culverts on the south levee of IBWC main floodway, located south of 1/E Road and east of Border Road. And the letter is being requested from your office, Judge. We have prepared the letter for your signature. We'll get it to your office. And this is for a license to do that.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge. Commissioner.
Item 19.
Good morning, Judge.
Morning, Mr. Villarreal.
Commissioners. Item 19A, approval of 2013 appropriation of funds from the Precinct Number 3 Road and Bridge unreserved funds balance into Precinct 3 maintenance in the amount of 602.00, 602,000 to fund operating expenditures.
Move for approval.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Item 20, our Budget Office.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Sergio Cruz, Department of Budget Management. Item 20A1 is approval of appropriation of funds for the Thomas Road project in the amount of $141,000.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 20A2 is approval of appropriation of funds for the Precinct 3 BCAP programs as listed on the agenda in the total amount of $19,300.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And item 28.3 is approval of appropriation of funds for the countywide mechanic shop in the amount of $54,000.
Move for approval.
Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 21, Purchasing.
Yes, Martha Salazar for the Purchasing Department. Nothing to report or action to be taken on 21A, 1, 2, A, B, and C respectively. Item 3, recommendation by Investment Negotiation Committee for acceptance of final negotiated rates, fees, terms, and conditions, and award, plus approval of the final county depository bank remittance processing lockbox, and if applicable, trust services and other related services agreements with Lone Star National Bank with the effective date upon expiration of the current agreement, which expires on Commissioners Court's May term of 2017 with statutory option for renegotiations at 2015. We need action.
Well, I have a question. You negotiated a contract, a new one.
We negotiated through the investment committee, 2 members, which were the treasurer and Mr. Cruz from the budget officer. They were the direct negotiators on the final documents you see, and also with consultant services by the tax collector because of the lockbox agreement.
Is it a 2-year or 4-year term?
It is a 4-year, but at the 2-year juncture, the county does have the option to renegotiate the terms and fees and rates if we so desire.
And if we don't like them?
You can start again.
So it's in effect a 2-year contract
A 2-year, but most of
with
the
an
time.
option to extend?
Yes, and it is at the sole discretion of the county, not the banks. The documents
Any
you have.
questions? If not, we'll entertain a motion to
Was there
approve item
any
3A.
changes, excuse me, Judge,
Pardon me?
any changes to the previous negotiated amount?
In specifics, I would have to defer to Ms. Garcia and Sergio. I do know that there were negotiated terms and conditions that were favorable to what we proposed as opposed to what was proposed by the bank. And overall, they are quite pleased with what the results were.
Norma, are there any basic changes?
No, sir. There were some fees that were negotiated. Some were lowered. Can you hear me?
Yes.
But overall, yes, we're pleased. One of the main things that we looked at was that the tax office was really insistent on having over-the-counter collections at the different branches. That was one of the main things with them. And even though we tried to maybe look at things differently, it all came back to providing services to the
Right.
constituents of the county to the tune of about maybe 30,000 payment that they accepted at the different branches.
And if we didn't provide that service, then we'd have to hire quite a few more personnel, I understand.
Besides that, the parking area here at the building where the tax office is, I don't think we would be able to accommodate them. So it was a hard decision for us to make, but I think overall, we made the right decision in selecting that particular bank.
And all three of you are recommending it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. In addition, the other three applicants would not consider that service either.
They would not be able to provide over-the-counter tax.
That's the difference between Lone Star and Compass, then?
That's the difference
the
between
other
the other
three
three banks.
The other
Okay.
three banks.
Yes,
Any other questions?
Is the county still going to pay for deposits and checks and all those things?
yes.
I have provided your staff a copy of the final agreement.
Any other questions? If not, I want to entertain a motion
moved.
to approve the
Second.
recommended item 3A with Lone Star Bank being our depository bank.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Then there's no need to proceed to item B. No action
right.
is requested. On item B1, this is acceptance and approval to increase original purchase order 68750 for Volchemont Limited as approved by Architect of Record Alcocer Garcia Associates through their standing contract with the document G701, change order number 1, $47,697.86. Outlined in the summary of change order number 1 to include but not limited to extensions of 78 days for the continuation of the construction of the Precinct 1 Constable Building. This is, as you can tell, the first change order in that project by the caption.
Who's that? What do they do?
Pardon me?
What do they do? Who are they?
What is the change order involving?
You know?
I can
Is
look
that the
up.
general contractor that's doing that?
Yes, that's the general contractor. Yes, sir.
That's fine. That's fine.
I
Move
need
for
action.
approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B is an AIA document 701. Also, this is change order number 2, which will be taken out of the betterment allowance in the amount of $1,986.11.
So move.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Marty, Judge, Commissioners, I have a question. Marty, with respect to the betterment allowance, how much is left of that betterment allowance, do you know?
I don't,
Since this
but
is
I can
change order
certainly-
number 2?
I'm not sure. It says that the betterment allowance is 7,800.
Right,
I'm
and this is
presuming
change
that
order
that's-
number 2. Do you recall what change order number 1 was?
It's the one right before. Oh, I'm sorry,
No,
under
no,
the betterment
under the-
allowance. Yes, sir.
yes.
I'll have to look that up for you.
Okay.
You may want to look on the backup. I don't know if you have a screen.
Thank you.
Item 2 and AB, we are taking no action until May 7th at the request of the precinct and budget office. Item 3, requesting approval of the following claim or invoice with authority for payment, and that is for, pardon me, I have to flip a page here. And this is for a ASG Security, $26.65.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
For Precinct 2, under C1, requesting approval of supplemental agreement number 2 for R. Gutierrez Engineering, contract number 310, resulting in an estimated cost of $5,000 under Work Authorization 5 for Minnesota Drain.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item D1, Precinct 4, requesting approval to exercise the option to terminate agreement with Matias Peña Jr., DBA Peña Farms, by issuing the notice as dictated under the contract.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item D2 for Precinct 4, requesting approval of plans and correction to multiple use agreement by the state of Texas by and between the state Department of Transportation and Hidalgo County Precinct 4 for the Lynn San Manuel Beautification Project with a correction on one of the paragraphs. The word county will be substituted for the word city
Move for
before
approval.
it's executed. There was a typo.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item E1 for Sheriff's Department, acceptance of approval of final negotiated contract between Hidalgo County and Four Paws Animal Hospital for provision of veterinary services for their canine units.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
We're requesting the bid received as detailed in the tabulation sheet contained for the request for sealed quotes for Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office purchase of new correctional safety mattresses and replacement covers. I'm asking for approval.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
For countywide, F1, recommending award of bid and approval of contract to multiple bidders as attached hereto for meeting all specifications and requirements as defined and reflected in the documentation attached for flexible base material.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And the awards are attached as to what precinct gets which one of the awards. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. This time, I need a motion to proceed to executive
Move for
session.
approval.
Pursuant to 551071072, those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. Item 23A, real estate, no action. 23B, pending potential litigation, no action. Item 23C, claim of Fabian Ibarra. Judge, Commissioners, I would ask that the court entertain a motion for compromise settlement, release, and indemnity agreement with respect to the claim of Fabian Ibarra in the amount of $12,500.
Move for approval.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 23D, claim against Roberto Izaguirre Jr. Judge, Commissioners, I would ask the court to entertain a motion in settlement of release and settlement agreement with a promissory note for the amount of $2,737.38.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 23E, civil action, Carla Davis versus Hidalgo County. There is no action today.
I need a motion to adjourn.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye. 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 Thank you, gentlemen. Meeting is adjourned.